Here I am back again, y'all. Our daily Bible reading together. Did you pray already? Ask Holy Spirit to tutor you as we read God's holy word together. If not, hit the pause button and do that. We're in chapter 23 of the book of Luke tonight, and y'all, we got one more chapter after tonight and we'll be through with Luke. And so far only one person told me where they want to go after Luke. Several books back, I think before we started Mark, I said something about, I was thinking about Isaiah or Jeremiah or Ezekiel again, or Zechariah. Isaiah, Zechariah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel was the four I was thinking about, because they're Old Testament prophecy, which I love. Oh, and Daniel too. And back then, whenever that was, a couple of y'all said you'd like to go to Jeremiah or somewhere. I forgot where. Two people voiced their opinion, but those two people I don't think are around anymore. They don't ever comment anymore. So y'all tell me where you want to go after we finish Luke. And tomorrow, around this time, we'll be finished with the Luke. Several days ago, somebody said they would like to go to Acts after Luke, and Acts is a good one. It's a real good one that I would be happy to read. I'll be happy to read whatever y'all want. You know, you just tell me where to go, and I'll go there. But I'd like to have at least two people agreeing on the same thing. I like prophecy, Old Testament or New Testament, it doesn't matter to me. But I like Acts too. Acts has got some really, really good stuff in it, y'all. And I love John. I've told y'all about my rabbi buddy, my non-messianic rabbi buddy. He and I talk a lot. He lives in Jerusalem, but he's got a place here too. Not here, but in America also. And he was here, and he's got an American phone, and he's got a Israel phone. And I didn't know he was coming to America. I told him his place is in Florida, and I told him don't come because he's been sick. He's been in the hospital a lot, and he's older than me, and I've been praying for that guy for 13 or 14 years to wake up and understand and realize that Jesus Christ, Yeshua, is the Messiah that he's been waiting on so long. He won't listen to me. I tried to get him to read the book of Mark. He won't read the New Testament at all. He said when he was young, he used to be really arrogant, and he said that he would buy a New Testament once a year on some Jewish holiday and tear the book of the book of John out of it and burn it. I don't know if he ever read it or not. I don't think he ever did. But he won't read it. And I gave him the scriptures in Isaiah prophesying the coming of the Messiah, Yeshua. And he said that Jewish rabbis, blacks out that part of Isaiah So he's a Jew. He's a hard-headed, stubborn son of a gun, and most of them are. But I keep praying. My God is more powerful than he is, and I hope someday he'll wake up. And I keep praying. He's had some serious medical issues lately, and I am praying hard that he's, at least, if he's not going to accept Christ now, that he'll at least stay alive to be in the tribulation when many Jews will see, when the Antichrist defiles the temple, the abomination of desolation, that they will think that he is the Messiah for a long time, for a couple of years, and then they'll see him just desecrate the temple that they've been wanting built for so long, that will be built, and then they'll realize that he's not the Messiah. And at that time, many long-time non-Messianic Jews will believe in Christ, Yeshua, and I hope he's one of them. That's, if he's not going to believe now, I'm praying that he'll stay alive and believe then, because I want the guy in heaven. He and I are good friends. He texts me and sends me messages through Yahoo Messenger, not Yahoo, but Facebook Messenger, and he sends me updates at Yahoo, at my Yahoo account, almost every day. And we've talked on the phone a lot. But anyway, I'm just flapping my jaws. Let me get going here. 23rd chapter of Luke. And the whole multitude of them arose and led him, talking about Jesus. Remember, he's just about to get crucified here. Led him unto Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king. And Pilate asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And Jesus answered him and said, Thou sayest it. Then said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, I find no fault in this man. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. When Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's Jewish jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceeding glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. Then he questioned with him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and scribes stood and vehemently accused him. And Herod, with his men of war, set him at naught and mocked him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves. And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people, and behold, I have examined him before you, have found no fault in this man touching those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod, For I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. I will therefore chastise him and release him, for of necessity he must release one of them at the feast. And they cried out all at once, saying, Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas, who for a certain sedition made in the city, and for murder was cast into prison. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spake again to them, but they cried, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them a third time, Why? What evil hath he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him, and let him go. And they were instant with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified. And the voices of them and of the chief priests prevailed. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. And Pilate, released Jesus unto him that for sedition and murder was cast into prison, whom they had desired, but he delivered Jesus to their will. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simon, a Cyrenian, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross, that he might bear it after Jesus. And there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming, in the which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? And there were also 2 other malefactors led with him to be put to death. And when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, they were crucified, him and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Could you have done that, friends? And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding. And the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the King of the Jews, save thyself. And a superscription also was written over him in letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew, said, This is the King of the Jews. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. And Christ means Messiah, y'all. Y'all remember that. He's saying, if you be the Messiah, save yourself and us. And the other answering rebuked him, saying, Dost not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man has done nothing amiss. And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. What did that thieving murderer just say to Jesus? He called him Lord. And he said, remember me when thou comest into the kingdom. And Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Bam, y'all. We get to meet that dude someday. And it was about the 6th hour, and there was a darkness over all the earth until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the wall of the temple was rent in the midst. And when Jesus had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. Now when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified God, saying, certainly this was a righteous man. And all the people that came together to that sight, beholding the things which were done, smote their breasts and returned. And all his acquaintance and the women that followed him from Galilee stood afar off, beholding these things. And behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and a just. The same had not consented to the counsel and deed of them. He was of Arimathea, I can't remember how to pronounce that word, Arimathea, a city of the Jews, who also himself waited for the kingdom of God. This man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. And he took it down and wrapped it in linen and laid it in a sepulchre that was hewn in stone, wherein never man before was laid. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. And the women also which came with him from Galilee followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, and how his body was laid. And they returned and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment to keep the Sabbath holy. And that's that. And then we go to chapter 24 tomorrow, and chapter 24 has got 53 verses, so I'm not going to try to do it. And then John comes after Luke, and then Acts comes after John. Y'all tell me where you want to go after tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll finish in Luke, if we're still here. We may get raptured tonight or tomorrow. And as cold as it is here, I might freeze my butt before I get to heaven. But at least it'll be my glorified butt, because this old butt's going to stay here. I'm so ready to get out of here, y'all. But, different kind of butt this time. There's people that needs to be saved. Got somebody that subscribed to my channel today, doesn't know if they're saved or not. They think they are, but they don't know. If you're saved, I think you'd know it. And I can't look at somebody and tell. Even I can't talk to somebody and tell. Only God and that person knows. And A lot of people are deceived because somewhere some preacher told them to repeat this prayer after me and you will be saved. That's not what saves you, friends. You say a prayer to God, you got to talk to God. You got to ask him to forgive you of your sins and tell him that you believe in him and in Jesus. You got to talk to him, but you don't repeat a prayer from a preacher and announce yourself saved. That's not what saved, that's works. You don't do that. And a preacher can't pray you into heaven anyway. Nobody can. Only that's between you and Jesus. So that's that. I'm tired, y'all. I thought I'd do this video and go to bed, and then I saw a clock. It gets dark so early here, y'all, and it is so cold. I'm freezing sitting here, and I got the heater cranked up, the central heat, but I'll crank it back down when I go to bed, because when I get under those blankets, I'm plenty warm under there. It's just getting in bed and getting out that's cold, and it's cold just sitting here. I got that little chicken coop heater right here I could turn on, and I may do it. I've got some work to do on the computer. I've got I told y'all a while back, several weeks ago, I was working on something that I had been wanting to share for a while, and on two things I wanted to share. But I wanted to do a lot of studying first, and I wanted to do a lot of praying first, because I'm not a teacher and I'm not a preacher. I am not. I'm just a plain old guy that got saved at an old age. And so what I do with fear and trembling, because whatever I do, I'm going to get judged by. And that light is flickering on and off. I wonder what's going on with that. So I'm trying not to be like a teacher, because I'm not a teacher. Teachers and preachers are judged at a higher level than a bald-headed redneck that don't know what he's talking about. That's why all I'll do for the most part is just read from the Bible, just reading God's word to you and praying for the Holy Spirit to be your tutor. I'll say something every now and then, mostly just talking like I would to a friend, but I am not a teacher or a preacher. Never have been. I substitute taught for a while, and I guarantee you God did not cut me out to be a school teacher. Goodness gracious, y'all. It was fun at first. I started off, a friend that was the ag teacher that taught agriculture in high school got cancer real bad, and he was missing a lot of school because of his cancer, and he was taking treatments and everything, and that made him sicker. He was in the hospital a long time, and they had substitute teachers for a while, and they saw that he wasn't going to be coming back anytime soon, so they wanted a permanent teacher in there instead of dragging in different subs, one for a week and another one for a week, and they wanted more stability in the teachers for the ag classes, and the substitute teachers they were getting didn't know diddly about agriculture, and I did, because I was a farmer and a rancher a lot, and so they hired me. I didn't have a teaching degree, but it was some kind of emergency temporary thing. I was going to finish out the year, and then they were going to find somebody else, I guess. I don't remember that so far back. But anyway, I got hired for a long-term deal as a sub, and I didn't have to get a teaching certificate under that circumstance. And I loved teaching ag with them, and those kids were so good. It was an elective. They didn't have to be there. They chose to be there, and I think that makes a big difference in the way they behave. You know, they wanted to be there. They wanted to learn, and I taught them, and I was a good teacher at that because I knew what I was talking about. And then after 5 or 6 weeks, the teacher that taught home economics, I don't remember what happened to her. She might have taken off to have a baby or something. But anyway, she was going to be gone a long time. And she had a junior high class that she taught 2 periods out of each day. And they said, okay, you have 2 periods free from ag. You go teach these junior high girls home economics. I said, okay, I thought that would be fun too. Whew. Y'all, high school boys and 1 or 2 girls in ag is way different than a bunch of junior high girls that are crazy. Man, they ate my lunch. They liked me. They were all in love with me. And they wanted to talk about boyfriends and girlfriends. They didn't want to talk about cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. And I didn't know anything about cooking and cleaning anyway. The teacher that left had uh, the daily schedule, a daily plan. I forgot what they call that. The plans that they have for each day. She had it documented very good, what they should be covering on Monday and what they should be covering on Tuesday and so forth. And so I just went by that. But the girls, they weren't interested at all. And we did do some cooking, and they made a mess. They had a food fight one day. I didn't like that. I love the ag part, but not that part. Well, here I am. I said I wasn't going to do any redneck ramble, and here I am. Let me let y'all go. I love you, friends, and I appreciate every one of you. And I'm going to pray for y'all. I pray for y'all at least once a day, and often lately I've been praying for you all twice a day. And some of y'all have special prayer requests that you leave me in the comments section of whatever video, and those get prayed for separately. So y'all are getting prayed for, and I pray for new subscribers. And again, I am not wanting subscribers so I can make money. My channel is not monetized. I have no plan at this time to ever monetize it. I don't even know how. If I wanted to, I don't have a clue how. But I do invite people to my channel because my channel shares Jesus and it shares the Holy Word. And that's what people needs more than they need anything else. And that's what I share here. And I share the truth. The people needs the truth. And so for that reason, I keep asking or inviting people to subscribe, and y'all do the same if you don't mind. I don't care what my numbers are. I just want it to be a lot of people, because most people are lost. And I'm praying that the Holy Spirit will use this channel to strengthen Christians and to embolden Christians and to save the lost, or at least get the word to the lost and let the Holy Spirit take over. That's what I try to do. I try to share the gospel of Jesus Christ often, and I do it just about in every video. I don't give the full spiel like I do when I'm talking to somebody on the street, because I've got it all typed out in the description box below the title of every long video. And I'm doing a lot of short videos now, 2 or 3 a day, to draw people in that don't normally listen to long videos. A lot of the young people listen to short videos, the shorts, all day long. And I've snagged several of them, and hopefully they'll come over and listen to some of the longer videos. And I need to work on making my long videos shorter. And the only way I can do that is to either read faster or cut out all my redneck ramble. And I reckon I need to cut out my redneck ramble, because I'm from South Texas. We don't talk fast. My daughter that died, I told her she should have been an auctioneer, because she talked like that. Man alive. She'd call me and we'd talk for an hour or two. I don't think we ever had a phone conversation shorter than 1 hour. And she would talk so fast. I said, slow down. My ears can't listen that fast. But I love talking to her. Goodness gracious, and I miss her so much. I bet she's just about talked Jesus' ear off. Oh, and man, I thank God she got saved not long before she died, and I am so thankful for that. So thankful for that. And she became a minister, not a minister, but a witness, a strong witness for Jesus as soon as she got saved. And that's what I want to see. I would love to see more young people be like her. So invite people to my channel. They're going to hear about Jesus. If they don't want to hear about Jesus, then this isn't a place to send them to, because I talk about Jesus. Y'all listen to my shorts. I try to get the Holy Spirit to give me one verse or 2 or 3 short verses that I can read real fast that has a strong message in them, to get people to thinking, that won't take the time to listen to one of these videos where I'm reading a chapter from a Bible. I want the Holy Spirit to work through the shorts, just like I want the Holy Spirit to work through the long ones. And I did post a little bit at my community page today, not a lot. I've got a lot to post there. I just keep forgetting about it. I think last night or the night before I told y'all I was going to go post some there, and then I forgot and never did it. I just forgot. Today I remembered, and I did put maybe 10 up there. I need to go put some more, because I got a lot. I do that from my phone. I find them at different YouTube pages, different Facebook pages, Christian Facebook pages, and save them on my phone, and then from my phone I post them to my community page. So I've got a lot on my phone. I need to clear it out. But I'm done, y'all. I wish y'all were in my living room. We'd talk all night. Some of y'all ought to come see me, except don't come this winter, because we get a lot of snow up here, and it gets cold. It gets down in the minus 20s, and last year it even got down to minus 31. I don't care if you're used to cold weather. You won't like this cold weather. And I hibernate. I bought a lot of groceries today. I had a lot already. And that new freezer I bought several weeks ago, it's full. I am sort of thinking about maybe buying another one. It's not the big, it's a chest freezer, but it's the mini chest freezer, MINI. But it holds a lot. I think it's 7.6 cubic feet or something. And it took me a month or 5 weeks, something, to get it filled up. But I made a bunch of chili. I made 3 batches of chili, and it's in freezer containers. And I cooked a big roast with vegetables, and it's in freezer containers. And then uh, after I was in the hospital those 3 times, my medical insurance company sent me all those free meals so I'd be sure and have nutritious meals when I was still too weak to cook for myself. Remember that? They sent me a meal a day for 2 months. They sent it a month at a time. And, I had to have some place to put it. That's why I went and bought that freezer, because the little freezer above my fridge wouldn't hold even half of it. So I got a lot of those in there still. And I know I've cooked other stuff and put it in freezer containers in there. I can't remember what. And today I cooked potatoes, a pot full of potatoes, and I'm gonna make potato soup and hope I can make room for that. I had already cooked the potatoes when I went to the grocery store and bought a bunch of stuff. I bought a turkey breast. I bought, oh, I told y'all already, I bought all the ingredients to make a full Thanksgiving dinner. And it's just me here. I don't know what I'm going to do with all that food, y'all. And so that's all in the freezer. But I got to get it out. I got a friend who has no family. He's got 2 daughters that lives at home. A good guy, a Christian. I bought him a Bible. Uh, but he's got to work Thanksgiving Day. Maybe I can do Thanksgiving for him the day before. He's off on Sunday and Wednesday. So maybe on Wednesday I can cook Thanksgiving and him and his 2 daughters come over here. That sounds like a plan. I got all the stuff. All I got to do is whoop it together. And with this big heavy duty off-road 4x4 walker, I can sit in there while I cook. The only thing, prepping stuff, I have to stand up because it's not tall enough for the countertop. But I've got one of those TV tray, fold out TV tray things. I could do my prepping on that. Get my cutting board, except what do I got to prep for Thanksgiving? Nothing. I make my own cranberry sauce, and that stuff is good. Y'all, one year, 3 years ago, I bought a bunch of cranberries. The bags, like 1 pound bags of cranberries, fresh cranberries, not the canned stuff, but fresh cranberry fruit. I bought a bunch, probably 20 or 30 bags. And I made cranberry jelly, and that stuff was good. I still got 1 or 2 jars. And the store manager, I asked him if he could get me some habanero peppers. He has jalapeno peppers all the time, but jalapenos they're kind of like eating a bell pepper. They taste good. They just don't have any heat to them. They're not spicy. I wanted some habaneros. I grew habaneros in Texas. They won't grow up here. I tried growing habaneros and ghost peppers up here because I like to make salsa with the habaneros and ghost peppers, but they won't grow up here. And he said he could order them, but the least amount he can get is 6 pounds. And I said, I'll take them. So he ordered me 6 pounds of habaneros. And that was 3 years ago, I still got some in the freezer. That chili I made this just the last few weeks, I used some of them in one batch of chili. The first batch of chili I made mostly for Nicole, for my friend Nicole, the doctor at the big hospital that comes over here a lot. And I added spice, but I didn't have any peppers in it. The next batch, I made half of it with jalapenos because she said, after eating the first batch, she said she liked it a lot, but she wanted a little bit more spice than what I had. I used the dehydrated pepper flakes, in that first batch, and I used some ground cayenne pepper powder in it. So it had a little bit of a kick, but not much, and she said she liked it a little bit spicier. So the next time I did put some jalapenos plus the dehydrated pepper seeds and the ground cayenne pepper, and she liked it a lot. And then I made another batch that I just used the ground cayenne pepper and the pepper flakes and a bunch of habaneros. And she said that she wants to try it, but she hadn't tried it yet. And it was disappointing to me. It wasn't as spicy as I wanted it to be. I don't know if the habaneros being 3 years old, even though they've been frozen the whole times, I left the seeds in them, so it's still got the pulp and the seeds. I don't know if they lost their potency over the years. I wouldn't think they would because they were frozen, but they weren't near as hot as the first year when I made that cranberry and habanero jelly. That stuff, it would set you on fire. And I made some salsa also. Back in Texas, all the salsa I made was from my own homegrown ingredients. The cilantro, the onion, the tomatoes, the whatever else, the peppers, the ghost peppers and the habanero peppers. The first time I grew habanero peppers, I bought 2 habanero pepper plants at some either Home Depot or Lowe's. That's the first time I grew habaneros. And y'all, those things produced and produced and produced. I don't know how many pounds of habanero peppers I got. And on the Texas Gulf Coast, it's hot down there. And hot peppers likes hot weather. And it wouldn't quit producing. I finally, in the middle of winter, pull those plants up out of the ground, and they were still producing. But I made my own salsa, and back then I was also using serrano peppers. Those things are good. I like them. I can't get serranos up here for some reason, but I still wanted more kick than that, so I started with habaneros, and I fell in love with habaneros. And I had so many habaneros left over, I didn't know what to do with them. And a friend said, make habanero jelly. And I looked online, and there's no recipe for habanero jelly, so I took a recipe for jalapeno jelly and used that same exact recipe, except instead of putting jalapenos in it, I put habaneros in it. That stuff was delicious. I'm not lying. It was good, but a, a fourth of a teaspoon was all you could take. And it said for the jalapenos, it said to use a cheesecloth to strain out the pulp and the seeds. I didn't. I let the seeds and the pulp go right in it, and it was sort of amber colored, but it was clear. You could see through it, and you could see the seeds, set up in that jelly. It was good stuff, y'all. It was good, but it was hot. I gave a jar of it, a pint, to the friend that suggested I make pepper jelly using the habaneros, and he loved it, and he let a friend of his taste it, and his friend loved it, so he gave that friend his jar and told me he needed another jar, so I gave him another. I think I made 6 pints of it, and I'd love to do that again because it was good, but a little bit lasted a long time. But that was good. I like home canning and dehydrating. I had a nice food dehydrator back home. It got lost in the flood when Hurricane Harvey, when I lost everything else. And my home canner got lost, but I found it. It was full of mud out in the yard. I washed it and sterilized it and used it for another year or two before I moved up here. And then I thought I was through home canning, and then I found those cranberries at the fresh cranberries, not the canned ones, but the fresh ones in the produce department. And so I bought another home canner and been home canning. And I did a bunch of pickles that year. I grew my own cucumbers, and I pickled some of them. And there's a farmer's market here too, that farmers that grows vegetables can bring their stuff to. And it's on a main highway. Matter of fact, that highway goes all the way to the north part of Michigan, not Michigan, but Nebraska, and all the way down to the North Texas border. So when I'm going back to Texas, I take that highway right straight through my town all the way to Texas, and then I have to cut over and go through Dallas and get on Interstate 45 down to Galveston. But anyway, I bought a bunch of cucumbers at the farmer's market, and I made bread and butter pickles. I love those things, y'all, and I make the best ones I ever ate. And kosher dill pickle spears. And I've still got, I think I got some of each. I've been giving them away like crazy, but I think I got like 1 jar of each left. And back in Texas too, I grew a lot of okra, and it would grow crazy down there because the okra likes hot weather, and it was hot down there on the Gulf Coast. I had okra stalks 14 feet tall, way taller than me, more than twice as tall as me. And I would flash freeze it. I'd cut it up. I like fried okra with the cornmeal batter. I'd flash freeze it with the cornmeal on it and then put it in baggies on big sheets. I would flash freeze it and then put it in baggies, and I had a year's worth of that ready to fry when I left, and just all kind of stuff. And I would make pickled okra. I love that stuff. Today at the grocery store, they had pint jars of pickled okra from Texas. It said hot, and I bought a jar, and I ate just about the whole jar already. It was the first pickled okra I had since I left Texas 3 years ago. I tried 2 years. The first 2 years I was here, I tried growing okra, and it won't grow here. It's probably too cold here. It would get about 6 or 8 inches high, and that's it. It would bloom 6 inches high, blooming, but it never did anything. So I didn't try this year. It's too cold here. I miss my okra, but it's good pickle, and I like it raw too. Right off the stalk is good. But this was so good. That was my supper tonight. That was my meal of the day. Was almost a pint of pickled okra. That stuff was good, and it was hot. Not hot, but hot. You could tell it had some kind of pepper in it. But I talked way too much, y'all. I just get lonely, and so I sit here and talk to the camera, and maybe somebody will listen. Probably not. I don't blame you. But I like talking like this. I look for people like me on YouTube. And there ain't nobody like me. That's probably a good thing. Except I don't know of any preacher on YouTube that loves Jesus more than I do. And I'm not even a preacher, not even close. And I thank God for that. God didn't want me to be a preacher. I got to get off here. God bless you, my friends. I love y'all. I'm going to go to bed early tonight. I don't even know what time it is. It was the last time I looked at the clock before I got on here, it was 8:25, but that was not immediately before I got on here, so it might be 9:30 or 10 by now, and for me that's still early. I usually don't go to bed till around 2 o'clock, but I think tonight I might go to bed early. My allergies been crazy all day. I don't know why, because it's cold. I thought all of the stuff I was allergic to calmed down in the wintertime, but it doesn't. But I've wiped my nose and blown my nose about 500 times today. I look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I use paper towel for Kleenex, and it's rough. It's like rubbing sandpaper on my nose every time I wipe my nose or blow my nose. Well, I know that's too much information. And tomorrow I have no appointments. I almost did with therapy, but they changed it to Tuesday. I deserved a long weekend, y'all. I didn't have any appointments yesterday, today, or tomorrow. But I got physical therapy on Tuesday and Friday. And I planned it that way so they're not just back to back. Because for me to get dressed and get out, it's not easy. And it wears me out doing it 3 or 4 times a week, and that's what I've been doing, and it's been wearing me out. So whenever I go to a doctor and they get ready to set the next appointment, I say wait, and I get my phone out with my little calendar and appointment setter, and I'll look and I say, okay, I got this day, and this day. Pick one. And they pick one, and I put it on there, and that's that. And then when I got two for a week, that's it. No more till next week. And this new week, the physical therapy doctor's got me both times. Next week I go see that, or the week after I go see that weird doctor. She's not weird, but the kind of doctor she is weird. I never heard of her kind of doctor before all of this happened to me this year. She monitors my medicine and my lab work to make sure my medicine is working and that I got the right medicine, and that my lab is not extreme one way or extreme the other way. I never heard of that kind of doctor, but that's all she does for patients of a regular family doctor. That's all she does is, monitor blood pressure, because I had a problem with high blood pressure, and then I had a big problem with low blood pressure because I kept passing out and falling. And then my kidneys failed, and that took some medicine, and they do lab work to check on my kidneys, make sure they're still working after they got them started working again. And they check my heart, and I don't understand. I couldn't be a doctor for nothing, but when they check your heart, they take blood from different veins or different arteries than they do for checking blood for your kidneys and other organs. I thought blood was blood, but I found out through all of this ordeal that they got to take blood from some other vein or artery when they're checking on my heart condition. I thought that was just weird. It all goes to the heart. All comes from the heart. What changes? I don't know. I don't understand. But I thank God that they do, because I don't have a clue. I just got to trust them. I was looking at the catalog from the company that I buy my Christian books from, which y'all, if you want anything Christian books, go to Christian Book, all one word, Christian Book, not plural but singular, christianbook.com. And that's their website. I've showed y'all. I know I got one at the dining table. I thought I had one in here. There you go. christianbook.com. Go check them out. Anyway, I was looking through, and they've got 2 books I want big time. 2 that I had never heard of before. And I don't remember the name of them. They're both Bibles, but they're one of them. I forgot what they're called, and I don't think it was in this particular catalog. I think it was in a bigger, thicker catalog. This is just pillows and coffee cups and stuff, I guess Christmas ideas or something. There's some men's neckties. When I was working, I had to wear a suit every day, and I hadn't wore a suit in probably 25 years now. I don't even own a suit now. This has got all kind of jewelry. This doesn't have the books in it. They got all kind of Christmas stuff in here. But anyway, one of them is the Bible interpreted by a Christian Jew. So it's not the King James or ESV or NIV or whatever, ESV. It's a Christian Jew's interpretation that he interpreted himself from Hebrew. And it's like a, what do you call it? I used to have a Bible that had 4 translations in it. And 2 columns here, 2 columns here, and each of the 4 columns was a different translation. Same verses, different translation. So you could compare. I forgot what those Bibles are called. But I had one and I gave it away because I didn't like 3 of the versions. All I like is King James. But anyway, this book that I want has the translation done by a Christian Jew on one side and Hebrew on the other side. And it explains, what the Hebrew word is for something. When I'm studying a lot, I will go to DuckDuckGo and look up some word in Scripture in the King James Version to see what that word means in Hebrew. And it will help me understand something that might not be clear to me. And I do that a lot. And I thought that would be really nice if I had that Bible. But it is expensive. And then there's another one. And I can't remember what it was. I had heard somebody talking about having one. They had just got theirs and they were really enjoying it. It was another Bible too, but it was, I forgot what was special about it now. I was looking at it earlier. I'm old and I'm tired, y'all, and I can't think. So I'll just let y'all go. I've talked way too much. I appreciate y'all's patience putting up with me. I just don't have anybody to talk to. Nicole, since she bought that new building and everything, she's busy with that. And I hadn't talked to her in a week probably. We text each other every day, but I hadn't talked to her. So let me, as I close off here, let me walk in here and show you something I did by accident. And I got to walk to the other side of the room to turn the kitchen light on. Let there be light. Look what I did by accident. Not 1, but 2. Y'all want to come and have coffee and donuts with me tomorrow? These are cream filled. And these are cherry or strawberry or something filled. I ate one of those. Since I lost all this weight, I'm not going to get heavy and fat again. I'm not going to eat them. The high school was selling these for a fundraiser. And I could have swore the paper that I ordered from said that these were the mini-sized donuts. And I was going to keep half and give Nicole half. They're not mini, they're big. They're bigger than a regular donut. And it said 18, 9 of one and 9 of the other. And I got 12 of each. So I took a picture of them and sent it to Nicole. I said, you got to come get these things. You and your 2 boys eat them. So she said she'd come get them tomorrow. That's what I look like in the dark. I look handsome in the dark just like I do in the daylight, y'all. Now it's too dark. And that's my living room. Right there, that's a couch that I've been sleeping on. I'll just take y'all on a tour of it's a tiny house, but I love this house, y'all. There you can see better. There's the desk that I sit at, which needs to be cleaned up. There's my cowboy hats right there. This is my bedroom. This bed is so high I can't hardly get in it. I did sleep in it a couple of nights ago. I sit on that bench right there to put my cowboy boots on right there. And I bought this recliner to go in here, but it's too big. I'm trying to give it away. That's my closet I was talking about, where I have to reach way, way, way back in the back. See, look at that. It goes way back there. And I got about 20 coats. I didn't have any coats. Well, I had one when I moved up here. I didn't need them down in Texas, but on the Gulf Coast there, I don't need them. But up here, I sure do. It gets cold here. And this is my little bathroom. This is a mess here because that's my dirty clothes hamper down there. I did laundry yesterday. All of this is from today. There's some more boots and my shoes and my scale, and that's where I put my towels and stuff. My kitchen's a mess. Everything's a mess. I can't hire a housekeeper. That's the tall cabinets I keep talking about. This 9.5 foot tall ceiling. This house was built in 1910, and it had been totally renovated just before I bought it. And I like it. I love this house. It's perfect for me. And that's a stove I bought. I was going to make candy for Nicole, and I went grocery shopping instead. Here's all the pecans that I kept eating, and all the chocolate chips for the candy I'm going to make, and some pecans that'll go in some of them. I got some more pecans somewhere. That's all my spices and vitamins. The doctors, with all my medical problems, took me off all of my vitamins. Some of these, see, like that one, it hadn't even been opened yet. But they took me off all of my vitamins. And my spices, I bought 4 matching spice racks that I'm going to get 2 hung up there, and I guess 2 hung up here, up there. So I can and they've got matching jars that I'll dump all of those in. And then over here is my utility room, and it's got a walk-in shower. That's where I clean up at. Let me get this light on here. I can't get in and out of that clawfoot tub. I'm too crippled up to get in and out there. My washer and dryer, Kitty Callie's litter box, some of my tools, and vacuum cleaner and iron board, and there's some more clothes. This coat right here is the only coat I had when I moved up here. That's a Carhartt, and it got down to 20-something degrees a couple of days in Texas, and I went and bought that thing, and I think that's the only time I wore it till I moved up here. Now I've got hoodies, these fleece hoodies that y'all see me wearing all the time. This shirt here weighs about 10 pounds. It's a heavy winter shirt. I got that. There's my John Deere shirt and another hoodie, and there's my hanging out with Stan t-shirt. I got another one somewhere. I forgot what color the other one is, but I got 2 of them. And there were several people bought them when I got this one. They saw it. Oh, the other one is brown. They saw that and wanted some. There you go. Can you see it? Hanging out with Stan, YouTube. Warning, may start talking about Jesus at any time. I wear that thing all over the place. I don't know where my brown one is. It's probably in the closet. But that's it. There's Kitty Callie. See her? And then back over here, this is at the county appraisal district or whatever. They call this a bedroom, but I told them it's too little to be a bedroom, so I just store my stuff in it. There's some of my home canned stuff down there, and this is all my coffee. I got a little Keurig machine, and that's all my coffee. And I got plenty of toilet paper and paper towel, and this is just some tools and stuff, fishing equipment. This is that little freezer I told you about. I love that thing. Well, I might need to buy another one. There's my water supply. See, I got it full already. And it holds a lot of stuff. Some of this stuff, that shrimp and this, and some of that I just put in today. That's some of my chili. I got a lot of these at the bottom down there. Is that, yeah, this is my counter, I think. Yeah, it is. That's what I do my home canning in. And I got this for Thanksgiving. I got two sizes, a big one and a little one. And my Ukrainian ex-wife, she wanted a formal dress for something. Oh, it fell off the hanger. She's gonna kill me. But anyway, I bought her one. You can't see it. I was gonna show it to you, but it's a pretty dress. She plays the piano, and she's wanting to play in some concert or something, and she needed a fancy dress. But I showed you, there's my water. The city here says do not drink the water. You know, it's okay for washing dishes and taking a shower and so forth and flushing your toilet, but they said do not drink it. And so I buy that. All of that down there is for my coffee maker and for Kitty Callie, and all of this is what I drink all the time when y'all see me. And look at there, y'all, I made that myself. I bought all the ingredients and made that wreath myself. That's where it stays all during the year, and then before Christmas I'll hang it on my entrance door. It's got baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph, and says true story. But it stays right here in this room, hanging right there, except at Christmas time. All right, y'all, we're done. That's your tour of my tiny home. The last 10 or 15 years, I wanted a tiny home, and I got one. I wanted it out in the country, but it's in town, right smack dab in the middle of town, but I'm happy. I just don't like the cold winters here. But I like everything else about the place. That's it, y'all. If it wasn't dark outside, I'd take you outside too, but it's dark, and it's really dark. I love you. I appreciate you. God bless you.